Reddit, what secret are you taking to the grave? NSW. In 5th grade I cheated on an exam. My buddy and I were the only 2 people in the grade who got this particular question correct, but I copied him. The worst part was he was considered dumb while I was at the top of the class, so the teacher was convinced that he copied me and he ended up getting suspended. Long story short, I was too peeved to admit that I was the one who cheated, as my parents would have murdered me if I failed the test, and even worse if I got suspended. You know, that's the fricked up part. The teachers have no evidence of him cheating, as there isn't any. They just base it off of crap like this, and that's fricked up. My mother killed my father when I was 8 years old with a shotgun blast to the face. He bled out through what was left of his head into my lap. Blood has a smell, a stink, when there's enough of it around. She got off because it was a self-defense situation. She sent me to school the next day, and ever since I've pretended that I'm a well-adjusted, stable person. I'm not. I went to counseling for abuse after my parents divorced, and I was never abused, so they put me in the regular room with all the people there who were waiting for their siblings. I claimed my father abused me so I could go to the special room with all the abused kids. It was horrible. I had no right being in that room with all those people. They all were really messed up from what their parents had done to them, and I just got in so I could play Yu-Gi-Oh! I was probably 7 or 8, and for what I know my father did not get in trouble. I see him every week. I didn't know what I was doing back then. This sounds like something Cartman would do. When we were kids, a female cousin and I played doctor around the age of 6 or 7. Talked about it a few years ago around the age of 25. Became deeply intimate and have had really incredible freaking sessions several times over the last few years. She recently got married and we have since ended our relationship. We are both normal, successful, contributing citizens. You'd never know. Hopefully no one finds out, but I miss her and our level of intimacy. Yo, but how was there no freaking McHousin on Reddit already? Uncle tragically passed away last year. Never married. No kids. Treated his 10 nieces and nephews like we could do no wrong. I also found out he was probably gay, and I don't think he was out to my family, or at least to most of us. No one would have had a problem with it, but it's hard to come out when my grandma just wants to set her youngest, would have turned 50 in May, baby up with all the ladies, you know? She's persistent but means well. Is also a tad oblivious at times, but she's in her 80s. Anyway, after he passed, my dad and I were in charge of finding files to the book he was supposedly writing about our family. We wanted to finish the book and publish it in his name. My dad was having no luck finding files on his HD, so I took a stab at it. Dad isn't the best at computers. I found dating site photos he had taken, shirtless mirror pics, photos of guys I assume he was talking to, and he could have done better. You're the best uncle and only deserve the best. Also saw his history when I was looking through his browser's bookmarks to get to his emails and accounts. I forget if I deleted it yet. If I haven't, I will. I figured the search history was confirmation enough for me. Probably won't tell my cousin or sister after all. Like I said, I assume that cousin knew. They were very close and talked frequently. And even if she doesn't, doesn't matter. Won't change anything bad or good either way. And it's not my place to say anything. Thank you for advice on that. Folks, miss you, UB. Not going to say anything except for to 2 people. If everyone follows that rule, your whole family will know within the day. Don't tell anyone. It's not your secret. Sorry to hear about your uncle. May he rest in peace. Me and my wife were going through tough times. I just got back from Afghanistan. I played Russian roulette with my 357 Magnum. 3 loaded. I lost. Getting a divorce now and alive. You know you were serious about Russian roulette, or clinically depressed, which happens to the best of us, when our lost refers to not getting a bullet in the face. I'm an out lesbian, but a few weeks ago I had fricked a male friend of mine. He's gay. We both got drunk and curious and had never gotten with the opposite gender. We both actually kind of enjoyed it, and for those wondering, I am not a butch, I am a femme. We had made out a few times before drunk, then we sort of got curious and decided to go for it, and we both have expressed interest in trying it again. The reason why I would take this to the grave is, as some people have pointed out, there is so much baggage involved in identifying as a bi woman, especially when I have been an out lesbian for most of my adult life. Coming out was the hardest thing I have ever done, and I am ashamed to admit I was one of those lesbians who hated on bi women as being fence sitters, etc, and I worry that if people know that my friend and I slept together, it would just reinforce stereotypes about gay men and women just needing to find the right member of the opposite gender to set them straight. We are both single, and I honestly don't know what to think. My friend is the first dude I have ever been attracted to, and I think I am the first woman he's been physically attracted to as well, so as much as we want to explore it, we are both a bit weirded out by it. Related, when I was a kid I thought this was how all gay relationships worked, that it was just a bunch of butch women and effeminate men getting together, and I didn't see what the big deal was. I was a pretty stupid kid. After sleeping with my then girlfriend, she got up to use the shower. How I kept a stiff upper lip while talking to someone with poo on their butt crack I have no idea, but by god I had a face of stone. I instantly realized she'd be horribly embarrassed if she found out, and I couldn't let that happen. I left the bathroom and thought to myself, okay, she was on bottom for a while and buck naked of course, so, oh frick me. I immediately head to the bedroom, throw back the covers, and sure enough, there's a big fricking skid mark on her pretty white bedsheet. Well frick hotshot, what do you do now? Strip the bed. Explain later. Fine. I pull the fitted sheet off the bed and find another fitted pad thing under it, with another fricking skid mark. At this point I'm starting to feel impressed by my prowess. Hehe. And mortified at the possibility of the fricking mattress having crap on it too. I anxiously peel off the fitted pad and, thank the gods of fornication, it remained unbefouled. Relieved I wouldn't have to throw her mattress on the front lawn and set it on fire, I quickly throw the sheets in the washer and start it up. Shortly after, she gets out of the shower and asks about the stripped bed and washing machine running. Lately she'd been spotting a little bit and she figured that must have been what it was. It didn't bother me at all and I knew she couldn't help it, but it made her feel really embarrassed. That's why I knew if a little bit of blood on my junk embarrassed her, then a big fricking rooster tail on her bedsheets would fricking destroy her. So she got sad and embarrassed and talked about how she grossed me out and I wouldn't want to sleep with her anymore, but all in all we were fine. To this day I never told a soul. That was the first and hopefully last time I've ever literally fricked the crap out of someone. TLDR. Girlfriend crapped the bed during fricking and I contemplated setting it on fire because we were in love and that's what you do. When I was 16 I was in a relationship with a man older than my father. I'm getting married soon, and he still mopes around and says how much he loves me and will never find someone like me. It's annoying, but also makes me feel guilty as heck. Manipulating their victims into feeling guilty is how a lot of abuses operate. You probably know this, but if he is unable to move on and still fixated on you, it is him that has the problem, and you have nothing to feel guilty about. I'm not sure if I'm going to take this to the grave or not. Several months ago I, 22, had I'm lonely and you're lonely frick with my ex-girlfriend, 19. The next day we woke up and decided mutually that it was a mistake, we should move on, etc. Well, that small mistake turned into a larger one. She got pregnant. We wrestled with a lot of things for the next few weeks. Did she want to consider abortion? No. Did she want to consider adoption? Possibly. How do we tell our parents? My parents would be upset, then immediately turn into the supportive parents they are. Hers would absolutely cut her off, never talk to her again, completely disown her. They told her they would, hundreds of times, when she was growing up. So, we struggled. 1 week turned into 2, which turned into 3. She was now 8 weeks pregnant. I get a call one night last week around 1 AM. She says that she is heading to the hospital, that something isn't right. I meet her there. She describes incessant bleeding and very bad cramps. After 5 hours in the hospital, the doctor confirms what we'd already begun to fear. She had had a complete miscarriage. Just like that. Then, she was no longer pregnant. Even in the middle of this terrible incident, she said she wanted no one to know about it. No one. About the pregnancy, about the miscarriage, about anything. I'm still conflicted. Miscarriages are very emotional events, and I can't go to my parents to talk it over with or hug it out with my best friend or anything. It's been a weird, rough few days. TLDR. Got my ex pregnant. She had a miscarriage before we were able to tell anyone. No one knows. She wants to keep it that way. To be honest, I thought that I would leave the hospital feeling great, relieved, but I didn't. Miscarriages are weird. Even though it wasn't planned, the grief is very real. Make sure she's alright as well. She has no one to confide in. Let's see. When I was 14, I had this girl, 16, who lived next door to me go down on me while we typed out the whole thing to this guy, 17, over AIM. Could never look him in the eye again. Still don't know if he ever told anyone. I have never ever told a soul. You all keep telling me he told everyone. If he did, everyone did a dang good job of keeping that a secret from me. This was 2007, I think, or 2008. Aid note, I'm a straightish girl for those Ming asking. Also really didn't expect this to be read. He told everyone. This is something that I have told people in the past, but have learned not to tell due to the insane amount of well-intentioned teasing I get because of it. I found out I was gay because while in Catholic school I did a Google search of Jesus and found a nude statue of Jesus. I felt weird, ashamed, and had the unusual urge to continue the search by searching penis. Penis led to more graphic things. More graphic things led to me questioning my sexuality. Questioning my orientation led to me realizing that I'm gay. I'm gay because of Jesus. Everybody. That when my ex called me to look at something weird in the toilet, it was actually a really early miscarriage and not just really weird period stuff, because it would have mentally broken a girl that was already unstable. But I'm dying inside. I'm so sorry for your loss. Seriously. Me and my girlfriend were playing Monopoly and she was so concentrated on the game, on the dice, on her properties. She was just so engrossed in the board that I was constantly taking money out of the bank and keeping it. I feel terrible about it because she was just so adorable trying to play the game and concentrate on trying to win. I absolutely annihilated her because I had so much money. She wasn't a sore loser about it. When we were done playing and it was obvious I had won, she just kind of sighed and we watched a movie. The whole time I couldn't stop thinking about how absolutely adorable she looked while trying to concentrate and play. The way she looked at the money she had and the properties she bought, like she was so proud of them. And I took advantage of that and stole money to win. I learned that from now on winning doesn't matter. I need to focus on having fun with her. But I will take this to the grave because if she ever finds out, she'll be talking crap like nobody's business. It's nothing big. It's actually something really small and innocent, and I've just decided to tell no one. When I was 5 years old, a friend at primary school, whose name is Jay, told me he liked a girl called Day and asked me never to tell anyone. I never have and I never will. Almost 30 years and I haven't told anyone. Over the years I've thought about saying something to someone about it, but I've never been able to bring myself to do it. Just something about the innocence of that promise, I guess. He wouldn't even care now, but 5-year-old Jay would, and I don't want to break my promise to him. You are a legend, man. Never let 5-year-old Jay down. When I was little, my grandfather physically shamed me. It started when I was about 5, at least from what I can remember, and went on until I was 8. The last time it happened, my aunt came in the room. I don't remember what she said, but she grabbed my hand and pulled me out of the room. She asked me what was going on and if it happened before. I told her no, because he always told me I would get in trouble if I told anyone. I was never alone in the same room with him again, but no one ever talked about it after that, and I'm too scared to bring it up. I'm 25 now. He died 3 years later. At his funeral, open casket, I spit on his face when no one was looking. My mom made me leave the room because I couldn't stop smiling during the service. I laughed when I read this. I hope you do well in life. When I was 7 or 8, I wondered what would happen if I whipped my dong around while peeing. So I went into my parents' bathroom and waved it everywhere, and pee was all over the walls and ceiling. A friend had an abortion before her marriage. Her husband doesn't know. It was his kid. She swore me to secrecy. I will never tell, he said. Bacon is always the first food to be cooked by my father in the mornings. As a child, I would steal myself an extra piece and blame it on my little brother. Hence, I'd get a total of 3 pieces, and Browski would only get 1. Looking back, the oldest kid gets away with so much crap. And here I am in a household where bacon is cooked by the pound. 3 pieces doesn't even qualify as a sandwich. My dad buys bacon in 15-pound increments. Usually lasts a month or so. Somehow we're not all dead. Yesterday I responded to a car accident. I literally watched a girl I was in high school with die. She was screaming and begging to live, and then she wasn't. It wasn't surreal, or like Hollywood. If one more person asks me if it was like the movies, I'm gonna punch them the frick out. I've seen my fair share of bad accidents, and have never really been bothered by death. My first call was a really bad accident. Only thing I was worried about was getting dinner. Frick, I slept like a baby last night and didn't think twice about it. I am more p that a young girl died with her whole life ahead of her all because she wasn't fricking paying attention to where she was going. People, pay the frick attention when you're driving. When you get yourself killed, it may end for you, but not for everyone else. That text message is not worth it. It's not worth it. What no one knows is that I came dangerously close to crying my freaking eyes out over it. This girl was literally one of the nicest girls I've known in my life. I was bullied in 9th grade, and she was one of the few cool kids that actually treated me kindly. I didn't know her well, but I'm sure as heck p that she had to die yesterday. A friend of mine confessed that a few years before I met her, she got pregnant by a man who didn't want to have anything to do with the baby or her. She could not afford to raise the baby herself, so she continued with the pregnancy but did not tell anyone at work because she feared that she would be judged for it. She scheduled a C-section for Friday afternoon, took a half day off work, and was back on Monday. The baby was adopted by 2 of her friends. No one at work ever knew what she did. She said she was able to cover up her pregnancy by wearing extremely baggy clothes. To answer some questions, I had to Google the Peggy reference. I didn't think she stole the idea from Mad Men, but who knows. Yes, she is a bigger chick, so easier to hide weight gain. Agree, the C-section detail sounds sketchy. This was a story that was told to me, not one that I could personally verify. Didn't think it'd be possible to hide a pregnancy, even with baggy clothes. Well, I'm a little late to the party, but here it goes anyways. When I was a kid, I always hated getting physicals for sports. One time I was extremely uncomfortable as I had hit a pubescent age and had become more aware of my body. You could say, well, I'm circumcised and I thought the scar I had was from fapping too much and the doctor would know. My remedy? Put Neosporin on it every night. When this didn't work, I became very distressed. We had very slow internet back in the day, so it took like half an hour to see one picture of a naked girl, so I didn't watch movies. I had to Google dongs to see if other people had the scar as well. Seeing dongs never made me so relieved. TLDR, dongs relieved my dong. I lost my virginity to our Italian foreign exchange student living with us for the past 6 months. She's since gone home. No regrets, though. My mum laughs about this all the time, but I don't tell anyone because it makes her sound insane. I was about 4 or 5 at the time, and I lived in an area where everyone was a bit rich and snobby. My mum went to visit her friend who had 2 kids. One was a girl and she had this beautiful pink girl bedroom with double bed with a canopy, loads of toys, and she was adored by the mum. The boy's room had this cage-like cot which he was just sitting in. My mum loves children, so didn't like this. One day she asks me, poor little head throwaway, do you need to go to the toilet? If you do it in this bag. Now I thought that was a bit weird, so I didn't. Eventually we're driving along and there's this Tupperware container with a plastic bag with something brown in it. We get to this car park and park up. My mum takes the bag out, walks over to another car and just smears her own human crap all over the windscreen, just covering the whole thing. It was awful. Anyway, she threw the bag away and we drive off. She told me another story about when she was a late teen young adult and a boyfriend had done something really bad to her. So she did a poo in a box, wrapped it up nicely and left it in his room as a present. As a boy who was neglected while my little sister routinely got $1,000 handbags, expensive clothing, the biggest room in the house and a super nice car, I am eternally grateful to your mother. I stole my little cousin's Charizard to complete my starter Pokemon set. I was 10 and he was 8. Till this day he doesn't know. When I worked at a convenience store, there was a huge dumpster that we were responsible for taking out back every week. It was my turn this week. This thing weighed well over 1,000 pounds, but luckily it was on wheels, so I just pushed the dang thing. I wasn't really paying attention, and there was a slight downhill slope in the designated dumpster area. Some butthole parked their convertible in the spot, but by the time I noticed, it was too late. It rolled slowly, but the amount of force it had was incredible. I was frantic and acting stupidly. The best I could do was try to stop it by putting myself between it, and this worked to a degree. But I wasn't able to push it up the hill and there was nobody around to help me. So I squirmed my way out, listened to the door crunch under 1,000 pounds of metal and garbage, and went back to work. Somebody had a bad day that day. So the car was parked in the wrong place, and even then you threw your body between it and the dumpster to save it. If it was me at that point, I'd just be like, frick it, I tried my best. You went beyond the call of duty. Don't feel guilty. After my girlfriend died, I went to our apartment before her super religious parents could get there and retrieved all the bongs and pipes and stuff so they wouldn't know she was smoking. She was also pregnant. Had to make a throwaway because, you know, taking to the grave and all. Probably going to get buried at the bottom of this thread, but what the heck. So here we go. A few years ago my best friend committed suicide. Most people didn't know he was depressed for at least 2 years, but during that time I had saved him a couple of times. Most times it wasn't going to work anyway. Drinking a bottle of vodka by himself, etc. Somewhere more serious. So he tries again using a mixture of different medication. I noticed immediately something was odd when he started texting me, so I go over there, break into his room and call the ambulance. He had sought help before, but this was the first time he couldn't deny it to his parents and other friends as he was in the hospital for a couple of days. He recovered, but people started treating him differently. We talked a lot about this. He didn't want to be that one that tried to off himself. The fact that people started treating him differently made things worse. He didn't want to go out anymore, locked himself in his room for days on end and tried to avoid everybody, except me. So this day comes a couple of months later and he calls me. He says he's going to do it for real this time. Everybody trying to be nice actually brought him over the edge, especially his parents. He tells me what he's going to do but not where. I can't stop him anymore, and I realize I don't want to anymore. This is his choice. So 2 days later they find him. As his best friend, I'm involved with the funeral arrangements. I speak to his parents, his other friends, all the while knowing they were the ones pushing him over the edge. It's not their fault, but it felt that way at the moment. I don't think I can ever tell his parents that them trying to be the loving parents he needed actually made him do it for real. When I was younger I worked landscaping. We were doing flowers at a client's house and I needed to take a crap something fierce, like immediately. I'm looking at this flower pot and I'm thinking, frick it, let's do this. I go around the side of the house, look around and it seems the coast is clear. I take a giant steamer for 5 minutes squatting like a Neanderthal over this fricking flower pot and question my life. When I'm done I'm wondering what the frick to do. So I dig a hole in the yard and bury the flower pot. Thinking I'm done with this freaked up moment in my life, I turn around and look up and see the clients, husband and wife and their dog standing in the balcony, mouths wide open staring at me. I start sweating and shaking and mutter something like, nice day. I leave without telling my boss, never go back to the job. It still keeps me up at night. Maybe too late, but me and a friend got matching butt tattoos of his cousin's nickname just to moon him one good time. Now I just have a nickname on my butt. When I drop a deuce at another person's house, I try to leave no scent, wash my hands and when they're good and sudsy, wave them around the bathroom so the bathroom smells like the soap and not the spray. Using the spray is a rookie mistake. My closest friend always asks how I have stinkless shoots. I'm never telling them. I'm burying it in this thread. Might as well get this off of my chest. Without going into great detail, purposely vague. More than 5 years ago I was a part of a group of 3-5 people that would successfully take the MCAT in place of others for a fee. We were all adept at taking the exam. Our clients were old money types with kids who could not make the cut. or didn't want to try. The fee was $100 plus any other extra charges. Fake fingerprints, IDs, prosthetics, you name it, and we did it. I had no qualms doing this as my reasoning was if they can't pass the exam, how in the frick would they get through med school and steps? Take their money and let them fail out of med. No problems until one of the clients actually managed to get through school and had racked up some malpractice. Thankfully nothing too serious. It hit me hard to the point of attempted suicide. I quit and went to therapy and the group disbanded. For other reasons. Shortly thereafter, I'm doing much better now, but this info is staying with me from people that I know, and staying with you, random reader. This should be a movie. My girlfriend has homicidal thoughts and a history of mental health issues. She's sat me down and told me on numerous occasions that she has these strong urges to kill people. It scares the heck out of her, but I always tell her I won't let that happen. I plan on asking her to marry me soon. So from what I'm reading, it sounds like she most likely is OCD or has obsessive personality disorder. She doesn't have any history of violence and the urges are few and far between. They usually stem from sadness rather than anger. Her life would admittedly be better without certain people who are poison to her. I think it's her brain trying to assert control over situations where she has none. As you Foxlist said, because of her probable condition, she'd be the last person to actually act on those feelings. Also, I'd like to thank everyone for proving to me why I should take this secret to my grave. I'll be at your funeral. I was drunk and dropped my parents' and my little brother's toothbrushes into the toilet. They had them all in a cup and I knocked the cup over. I frantically went to go boil them in hot water before anyone came home and put them back. No one knows. I thought I mentioned this, but my pee was still in the toilet from the pee I did like 2 minutes before I knocked the cup over. When I was a kid, I would have to go to after school care for a few hours. I had a friend there I would play with regularly. We'd normally play house in a cardboard box and took so far to pretending to be husband and wife. I suggested we get naked like moms and dads do. I almost took my pants off when the caretaker called out for snack time. To this day, that same girl and I are friends. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.